And happy Wednesday. Welcome to the 2021 Cleaning Green Digital Kickoff. I am Renetta, Community Relations Manager at the Lam Bank. I'm going to serve as a facilitator for today's Cleaning Green Kickoff. First and foremost, I just want to thank everyone for taking the time to spend a portion of their Wednesday afternoon with us. And I also want to thank you for taking time on Saturday to come by and pick up all of your materials for this year's program. That was the first time in a long time that we were able to distribute all of the materials in one day. So we really, really appreciated your help on Saturday. This digital kickoff is new to us. Usually we have a face-to-face kickoff, but due to the global pandemic, where we were not able to do that this year. So this is a new venue for us. So please bear with us. We ask for your understanding and your patience as we travel this new venue. Thanks, Lucille, for helping us out. As we continue to proceed with today's activities, please, if you haven't already done so, enter your name in the chat box along with the name of your group. And also, if you would, please tell us what you are looking forward to in this season. Now, if you're not able to do that, don't worry about it, no worries. But if you can, please do so. Because we have a packed agenda today, we're not going to be able to answer any questions at this time. However, if you put those questions in the chat box, we will get back with you. And those of you that are not comfortable in using the chat feature, just give me a call, send me your email, or send me a text, and I will get back with you as soon as possible. We're going to start today's kickoff with prayer. Pastor Shields, who has been a part of the Cleaning Green program for a while, is going to offer prayer. And after Pastor Shields, we're going to hear from our Executive Director, Michael Freeman. Pastor Shields? I hope he's online.
Don't see his name unless he is the one. There's one person that has a number. But if Pastor Shields is here, just hit unmute.
BJ, METOB, something like that.
Oh yeah.
Our international jurisdiction.
Do you see him, Melissa?
I do not.
Okay, I have a lot of pastors online. I don't want to call anybody out, but if somebody would like to volunteer and offer prayer, we would really appreciate it.
I'll offer prayer. I'm Pastor Fuller of Mount Tabor Baptist Church.
Thank you, Pastor.
Yeah, let us bow our heads in prayer. Gracious God, our Father, we thank you for life as it is. We thank you for our health and strength. And then, Master, we thank you for all those that are gathered here on the Zoom today. Lord, we ask that you bless the organizers, Sister Speed, and all those that are working with the Land Bank, as well as all these community groups that are participating in the Land Bank Cleaning Green this year. Master, we ask that you would be with us this year. We pray, Father, that everyone would work safe, that no one would get injured, that you would watch over us and protect us, Father God. Lord, we pray that we'll be able to help those that are out in the community, and let them know that we're trying to do something to help them improve their neighborhood so they can have pride in the area they live in. Bless us as we go forward. This we ask in Christ Jesus' name, for his name's sake. We ask it all. Amen.
Amen.
Thank you, Pastor Fuller, for that inspirational prayer.
You're welcome.
Now we will hear from our Executive Director. He's new, he hasn't been here. Well, I guess it'll be a year next month. Is that correct, Michael?
That's correct, yep.
That's correct. Okay, so Michael, it's on you.
Okay, great, thank you. I think we have a PowerPoint. Yeah. All right. They told me I had 5 minutes, and I'm going to try and keep to that. And I promise, because there's a lot of other more important and smarter people that you're going to hear from today. But I wanted to just introduce myself. For those of you who don't know me, I'm Michael Freeman. I was born on the north side of Flint 50 years ago. And when I was 6 years old, my family moved out to Flushing. My family has been in Flint, in the city of Flint, for 160 years. So it was the first of my family to move away. I had great experience there. It was, really nice. But when I was 18, I just felt like I need to be back home. Flint for me is home. It's been home for my family. And, I just knew that there was a role I had to play here and to contribute. So even when I lived in Flushing, my uncle was the head of the Flint Environmental Action Team. So my weekends in the summers were coming into the city of Flint and helping with environmental justice issues in the city and urban agriculture and all the great things that they were actually doing in the 70s as well, because that's not quite new. So I'm really excited to be here with you all today, because I feel like you guys, you understand the passion for this city and volunteering and working in these communities, because that was my ethic growing up, is to get out there and lend a hand and be supportive. So it's an honor to be here today to talk to you about the Lam Bank and who we are and what we hope to achieve. But I just want to start this conversation by thanking each and every one of you, because I think this is one of the finest programs that the Lam Bank administers, and how important this is to me, because government can't do it all, but government working in strong partnership with residents and with the community can do some pretty great things. And so I just wanted to start the conversation with that. If we can move on in the slides, and I'm not terribly good with like scripted presentations. I like to speak from the heart, but I think that there is some stuff that I probably should at least do with our PowerPoint presentation. And so, really the goals of the Lam Bank are blight removal. It's about home ownership, and it's about responsible land reuse. I started out my career in community development in '94 as a community organizer as soon as I graduated college. And I worked in the city of Flint with neighborhood associations, creating structure and power for residents who typically felt marginalized and not part of the future of their community. I understood this acutely well, because even in my own neighborhood, I was not professionally, I was just, community organizing in my own area. And I remember what the system used to be like with foreclosures. Properties would be foreclosed upon, they would go to the auction. There was typically people not from the city of Flint who had cash in their pocket, who would go and purchase these properties at auction, and they would continue to be a problem and a blighting influence in our neighborhood. And I remember in 2004, when the Lam Bank was created, that it was the first time my neighborhood could relax. We didn't have to figure out what day was the auction on, which properties were going up for the auction, how are we going to raise the money so that we could try and compete, which traditionally we couldn't really compete. So for the first time, we could actually work with an organization to say, hey, these are our land use goals. This is what we want our neighborhood to be. We want you to work with good, we want home ownership. We want people to purchase these homes and live in them. Not all income properties. We had a lot of very ambitious goals that the Lam Bank helped us achieve. And that's really, for me, it was such a positive experience. This is the experience I want to have Flint residents have with the Lam Bank, in that we are a tool to a better future for your neighborhoods. And so that's my ethic on the Lam Bank, and the way that we function is that, I want strong neighborhoods for Flint residents. And so we can start rebuilding our community in a way that fits our future and our desired future. Okay. Next slide. For history, you know, we were founded in 2004, and it was a change in the entire foreclosure process that allowed the creation of the Lam Bank, where we could actually start making, instead of having everything go to an auction and not knowing what's going to happen, we could actually start thinking about, you know, how we work with properties. Our properties all come through the foreclosing governmental unit, which is the treasurer's office. So we are not the forecloser. We're just the destination for all the properties that are taken during the rights of first refusals from the local units of government. And next. Okay, and above all, you know, the Land Bank is a community development tool. So there's a lot of different things built into the land banking legislation that allows us to, you know, to work with properties to, you know, whether or not it's receive grant funds to actually do demolition, all the way to make brownfield reinvestments in properties so that we can start doing environmental cleanup and remediation on properties. So our mission is to restore value, go back one, okay, it's to restore value to the community by acquiring, developing, and selling vacant and abandoned properties in cooperation with stakeholders who value responsible land ownership. So our goal is to identify those people who actually want to support a community development agenda for the community. And I think that's just really important, and that's the ethic that we need to have moving forward. Okay, next one. So this is going to show you a little bit of our challenge. Well, actually a big part of our challenge. And you can just look through the years. This is what's happened in foreclosure of the city of Flint, you know, 2010, 2012, 14. You know, this problem is not going away, and directly, you know, in response to a number of issues, just like whether or not it was job loss or whether or not it was the, you know, 2008 mortgage meltdown where so many people just walked away from their properties because of predatory lending, where, you know, they were upside down in value on them. And, you know, so these are big issues that we've had to deal with. And right now in the city of Flint, you know, we have over 13,000 properties in the city, and then about 1,500 properties in the out county. So, you know, unfortunately, when people talk to me about like all these individual issues, I think about every day about 15,000 properties that we have to try and find a new future for, whether or not it's through sales, whether or not it's through development, whether or not it's through side lot acquisitions, property leasing. You know, there's all these different interventions that we have to figure out so that we can, you know, try and diminish the amount of blight in the community and have responsible, you know, land management practices. You know, I remember when the Land Bank started, it's, you know, it made sense to, okay, well, we're going to put some money into contracting somebody to come in and mow and maintain properties. You know, and then the community came back and said, wait a minute, you know, we have able-bodied people in our community who, you know, we want to be able to help take care of these properties. And I think before it was like, when it was like somebody contracted and sometimes outside the city of Flint, you know, people are just like calling the Land Bank saying, hey, this is, you know, there's dumping, there's, you know, all these different activities going on that are negatively impacting the properties surrounding these households. Well, once we had programs like Clean and Green, where we have community groups, neighborhood associations, whatever, faith-based organizations who started, you know, taking on the maintenance of these properties for us, the quality increased significantly with, you know, how the properties were taken care of. And as well, the community became the eyes and ears on these properties. And so if someone was dumping, it wasn't called the Land Bank. It's like, no, go outside and you tell a person, you're dumping on a property I take care of every single day. So I think that there was more ownership from the community on these properties as a result of programs like this. And this is why I'm so committed to Clean and Green and everything that you're doing. And quite honestly, even, you know, with the reality of all these properties and all the challenges that we have in managing and maintaining them, this is the best of what the Land Bank can do in partnership with the community. And, you know, I myself am a Clean and Green participant in my neighborhood. You know, they apply to the program every year. Since Clean and Green started in my neighborhood, there's not a single lot that goes unmowed, and it's amazing. And, you know, the proceeds from, you know, the money that is raised through the Clean and Green program actually goes into buying better and more equipment for the neighborhood to take care of it. They do tree plantings, they do, you know, corner improvements. Everything goes back into the neighborhood through Clean and Green. So for me, this is like the impact beyond just maintaining what we have, but it's the area impact, which I think is pretty remarkable. So move on to the next. So let me talk a little bit about our inventory and what we have. Since 2004, there have been 27,000 tax foreclosures. You know, right now our inventory is roughly 15,000 properties in total, both in the city and in the out county. Next slide. So what we have, 71% roughly is vacant lots. And so 25% of what we have residential with structures. Unfortunately, many of the properties that we get, you know, I mean, in fact, all the properties that pretty much come through the foreclosure process are the orphan properties that no one really seems to want. And there's a small fraction that we're able to actually sell and to encourage home ownership with. And I think that's great. But one of the bigger problems is all the blighted structures that are just so blighted they require demolition. So it is our job to go out and raise the money, because these properties don't come with money. There's no money that comes. We get them, and then it's up to us to figure out how do we demolish those properties that need to be demolished, because I think it's an issue of environmental justice for our residents to have to live next door to a blighted property that's vacant, abandoned. You know, it's like, I want safe places for children to play. I want that burnout structure demolished so that they don't harm themselves, you know. And so I think that we have a really big job here, and not as many financial resources as, you know, we need to actually do that job. But there again, Clean and Green is part of, you know, that's the upside of this work and what you guys are doing. So but we apply for, whether or not it's working with the EPA to find grant funds, you know, our local foundations, you know, we work with the city with their CDBG program, you know, for those burned out structures. There's fire insurance withholdings that we can hopefully get some of that money that is being held by the city from the insurance companies that, you know, that were covering the properties that caught on fire. You know, there's an opportunity there that we can start matching money, because usually that money is not enough to take down the burned structure. But at least if it could pay for half of it, then we only have to come up with the other half of the money to take that property down. So in the remaining inventory that we have are commercial properties with structure, but that's only 1%. And then we have about 3% of our inventory is commercial vacant lots. Okay, next. So, you know, I've talked a lot about the challenges that we have, and a very wise person here at the Lam Bank, I was just talking to her earlier, and I said, you know, the best advice I ever got when I took this job was own the problem, right? Don't make excuses for, you know, the Lam Bank and, you know, like, oh, well, you know, this is, it comes to us. It's just, these are bad properties to begin with that we get. We just have to own that we own the properties, and that we have to find a better solution to deal with those properties. And so I guess, you know, and I'm sure that the previous directors before me, you know, understood this as well, but I just want you all to know that I believe that, you know, government will not solve every problem, but things like you guys are doing today is a great step in the right direction. And somehow we're going to get there, and we're not going to stop working until we start getting the blight out of this community and making healthy neighborhoods again. So that's really my dream and my hope and my vision for the city of Flint. Now, on the positive side of everything, you know, all the challenges, we do have great results from last year. So last year we sold 18 commercial properties. We were able to sell 192 houses that we are requiring that people redevelop them. Like, as part of that sale, they actually have to demonstrate that they have the ability to fix up the property. And also, you know, when it comes to property sales too, we make sure that the household we're selling the home to has the financial resources to maintain and manage that long term. We're not going to set people up for failure where 75% of what they earn every month has to go into their house. And then they have to then figure out how to feed their children and pay for all of their life expenses. we have to make sure that we're not setting people up for failure as well, or we're connecting people to those resources in the community that can help them be successful within their housing opportunity. So we were able to demolish 317 blighted structures in the community. We did over 40,000 Mohs, which were completed on vacant properties by crews and partners. So, we did roughly 17,000 properties, even though in the city of Flint, even though we owned 13,500. If there's a block that there are like 5 Lam Bank properties and 2 non-Lam Bank, we just don't send our crew in and say, just do our Lam Bank ones. No, hit those 2, and so you have a complete block, which is mowed. So that's why you're going to see 17,000 total Mohs versus the 13,500. As well, then we have all the work that you guys do. And that contributes significantly towards the total Mohs that take place in the city of Flint. So if you look at this 40,000 number, obviously the other Mohs are coming from you. And that's making our neighborhoods more attractive, safer, and healthier. And I appreciate that. So we've had 211 vacant lots that were sold to nearby property owners. 9 houses were remodeled by our Lam Bank crews and sold. And so on occasion, we'll do our own remodeling and sale of a property. And then what we do, and not just in the city of Flint, but even in the out county, once we renovate those properties, if we achieve revenue from that rehab and resale, all that money goes right back into programs like Clean and Green, our mowing program, our maintenance program, our blight removal. So on occasion, it makes sense for the Lam Bank to try and generate, revenue. People don't like it when I say profit, but it's essentially what it is. But if we can profit from something, but then take that money and put it back into all those properties that don't have money, that, that lack the value that would get it to more immediate reuse. That's what we're going to do. So, on occasion we'll do that. It hasn't been a big part of our business, but it's one that we benefit from in the city of Flint through making cleaner neighborhoods. And to next. So we have 35 local crew members that were hired and trained last year. It has been a challenge for us to actually get all of our crews filled with the pandemic, with everything that's been going on. It's been hard, but we are still hiring right now for our maintenance crews for this season. So if any of you know people who are looking for seasonal employment, definitely have them reach out to the Lam Bank, because we definitely could use the help. So last year we had 58 community groups partnering with the Lam Bank through Clean and Green. However, from what I understand, this year we have 69. So those are great numbers. I am so enthusiastic about that. I mean, this is like, we have 1,000 people in our city that are going to be engaging and cleaning up properties and making them more beautiful. And that to me inspires me and gives me hope. So I thank you all for doing this again. You're going to get a lot of gratitude in this, because I don't think you guys realize how much I love this program and what you guys are doing. We did 978 lots leased and maintained by our volunteers. 500 vacant structures were boarded and secured. We had 730 tons of garbage and debris removed from vacant properties. That is a lot. That is substantial, and we got to do more. I don't know what it is. This has not been it's starting out kind of rough right now in the city. We've got a lot of people are coming in and dumping, and I know that the city has been trying to do like a Crime Stoppers type approach to dumping, but we have to have our eyes and ears out at all times, because this is a trend that we need to try and reverse as well. Next, let me see. We have, go back. I'm sorry. Okay. $3.2 million in grants were secured for revitalization. An additional $2 million was invested by partners in demolition and environmental response. I'm so happy. My team worked really hard with Brown Funeral Home. That was keeping me up at night, because I'm like, how are we going to take care of this property that could be a $750,000 demolition? My team, Christina Kelly and Faith, and people in the planning and revitalization area worked hard to get the EPA to come in and do rapid response. It's faster than anything that could have happened. between the time that the decision was made that they were actually the federal government would take care of that demolition, it was like 2 weeks. If you go by Brown's today, the entire thing is now secured. There's chain link fence around it. You don't have people walking on environmentally contaminated ground, and then that should be done shortly. So that to me is like $750,000 that our community doesn't have to spend on that, and we can actually allocate into other projects and other demolitions in the community. So I'm very happy about that. Then next. So vacant property maintenance, if you were to, people ask like, why don't you mow every property that you have on a regular basis? It would cost us $7 million annually to mow tall grass and remove trash from more than 20,000 vacant properties in Flint. This would be just doing it one time a month in the spring and summer months. Our total, blight budget is, or rather our maintenance budget is $2.1 million. So we have to figure out how to make that money stretch as much as we possibly can. But the cost for us to do everything would be just exorbitant and wouldn't be really a sustainable option. So we have to look for partnerships like what we're doing here today to actually have more regular maintenance on the properties that we have in our portfolio. So if we were to try and board every vacant property that we have right now, that would be an additional $845,000. Next. So yeah, we spend about $2 billion a year. We are going to try and find innovative ways to make or generate more money that we can put into maintenance and management of our properties. Demolition is just a huge, that's got to be a priority. And like I was just talking to Christina Kelly, is like my goal is that we need to try and work with the city and all of our funders to get down every single one of our burned out structures. That to me is just so important, and I hope that you guys think that's important too, because those really create the biggest danger to our neighborhoods and our residents and our children. So but that's kind of my goal right now. I want to thank you guys for everything that you're doing, and I'm excited to see the new numbers, and hopefully these numbers this year just blow last year out of the water. You can go to the next slide. So I do need to recognize the people who have helped us to get to this point. We've received financial support from the Ruth Mott Foundation, CS Mott Foundation, U of M, Youth Violence Prevention Center, the Michigan State Housing Development Authority, and the funds that we don't have any hardest hit funds anymore to do demolition, but we still get some of the money for the ongoing maintenance. So that's being contributed towards it as well. And then next. Okay, what's next for the Lam Bank? I told you about my auspicious goal of getting every single one of our burned out structures down as soon as possible. We're going to be going through a pretty lengthy strategic planning process that hasn't been done in a long time, because I need to get back with not just our funders and elected officials, but community residents to figure out exactly how do we become more relevant. Are we hitting the mark? Are there different things that we should be doing to make our neighborhood stronger? You do that through strategic planning, developing work plans, and then holding true to that strategic plan and updating it as necessary. We're going to coordinate with the City of Flint, the Flint Police Foundation to update our blight framework, to define scale of blight, assess impact of efforts, and propose strategies to address blight. So get everybody who is involved in this fight together, coordinating our resources, working strategically, and making better decisions on how do we start deploying our resources and then tackling this issue. We need to implement new blight grants and seek additional funding for demolition and blight elimination, and then continue to sustain funding for clean and green for years to come. And that's the thing, we're actually going to start chipping in more of our own money as well into this to make sure if other funding drops off, that we can try and maintain the same funding levels so that we can continue our programming, because this is one thing I don't want to let this go. And so, and our staff is committed to it, and they do, Renetta and Melissa do an amazing job, and I'm so proud of them on our staff. And I think if you haven't worked with them yet, you're going to love working with them. So that's pretty much my future vision for the Lam Bank right now. And it's only been year one, and I think there's going to be more to come. So again, I want to thank you all for being here today. And I definitely have talked more than my 5 minutes. But I hope that it was worth the time. And, you know, if you have questions, you know, you can reach out to me or any of my staff members, and we're going to continue to keep this dialogue fresh and active. So I want to thank you all.
Thank you, Michael. Thank you for those encouraging words. We are glad, I'm speaking on behalf of the staff of the Lam Bank. We're glad to have you as our executive director. And for those of you that don't know Michael, he has a great sense of humor. So it's always fun to be in the room with him because he'll keep you laughing all the time. So thanks again, Michael. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
At this time, I'm going to give some brief program updates. Our Clean and Green program is very popular. Our phones are always ringing from people expressing interest and becoming a part of our Clean and Green program. This season was no different. Even though the application process has passed, people are still calling to get into our Clean and Green program or sending emails. I think I got an email yesterday, someone expressing an interest to become a part of the Clean and Green program. This year was unique. Number one, because we had to do, we're doing this instead of a face-to-face kickoff / orientation. But this year we received over 80 applications for our Clean and Green program. Out of those 80 applications, we were able to select 69 groups to participate in our program this year. Last year, we had 57 groups in our program. I'm delighted to say that all 57 groups have come back this year. We have 10 new groups, and we have 2 groups that have been a part of our program in the past that have come back to rejoin the program this year. To accommodate everyone, to accommodate the 69 groups, we had to make some slight adjustments with our stipend and our boundaries. So I just want to say thank you for being patient and understanding with those adjustments. Direct deposit. Yolanda Collins, one of the account clerks here at the Land Bank, will activate the direct deposit payments on Monday. You should see those deposits in your account no later than Wednesday, providing that you have submitted all the necessary materials, your MOA and your liability release forms. If you have not done that yet, please do so. Our office remains closed because of the virus, so you can come into the building, which is open between 8 and 5, and put that information in our drop box. It's a black box on the wall when you enter the right wall when you enter the building. If you don't want to do that, you can fax the information. Fax number is 810-257-3090. It's also included in your binder, or you could email that information to me, and I will make sure that Yolanda gets that, Melissa gets that, those materials. I think that's about it for me for now. So I'm going to turn it over to Melissa, who's going to talk about program operations.
Right, thank you, Renetta. So for those here that don't know me, I'm Melissa Hertline, a community planner with the Genesee County Land Bank. This is kind of my pride and joy is working for this program, and I'm so thankful to be part of the great work that you all do. So I'm going to kind of just get right into it and talking about our different program operations, the binders, materials, and all those nuances that you're going to need to know to get through this next season. So I don't know if everyone has a binder nearby. You don't have to. I'm going to go through each of the materials. I'm sure a lot of you have poked through this binder since, but you should have your group name on the front. And then on the left side of the binder, you're going to find your getting started. And that's going to kind of give you all of the basics that you need to know. It's like your one-stop shop to get all of the information for the Clean and Green program. Behind that, you are going to see your MOA, and that's going to have a little sign here tab on there. That's what we need you guys to return back on Friday. Behind there is going to be the liability release forms. And another sign here, there's 5 copies. We will provide a digital liability form for in between the season rounds, but we do have these 5 for our initial submission with the MOA. Behind that, there's going to be a few resources that are available throughout the community. The first one is the community tool shed through the Engagement Hub and their COVID procedures and policies. There's a request form for the Engagement Hub if anyone needs to borrow equipment. Maybe they're doing a cleanup, planting a garden. There's a few options there. And then there's another flyer for Republic that is going to kind of outline what you need to know, what can be disposed, what can't, and the different avenues to go that way with that. On your back side of the binder, you're going to find your HHF property list. That is your copy to keep. We don't want that back. We want you guys to have that throughout the season. It'll have a red stamp that says copy. The one that's in the MOA, please submit that with the MOA. And then behind it, you're going to find all your maps. So that's going to depend on how many maps each group wanted for the season in their application. Now I'm going to kind of go through the binder in a little bit more detail. So I'm going to share my screen. Just a moment. Okay. Can everyone see my screen okay? This is the program orientation binder. I hope all of the font is big enough for everyone to be able to see. But this first page, just going to be a table of contents, is going to tell you everything that you need to find in the binder and where to look. And then we of course have Renetta's information for all clean and green communications. Once we get to page 2, that is when we're going to see our program checklist. This is going to give you the step-by-steps for, getting started this season. So submit direct deposit form. I know a mass majority of groups have already done this. If you have yet to update your financial information, please do so as quick as possible. And that can be through the Dropbox, mail, fax, and just please note Yolanda Collins on there. Step 2 is kind of going through your group materials, which we're doing today. Looking through your getting started, your MOA, the binder that I'm going through here. Make sure your maps all make sense. And learning the difference between the property types and mowing types, how to submit the group report, and all of the details and requirements for the program. Attend to the digital kickoff, which everyone here, you can check that right off the list. You're here today, so we are good. And then signing and submitting the MOA and liability waivers. Again, we need those back by Friday. So please try to get those here as soon as possible so we can get the payment through. Then it's kind of getting to the fun stuff, starting cleaning and greening. So there is $50 in your stipend advance to purchase COVID supplies. If that's going to be hand sanitizers, face masks, whatever your group really needs, kind of tailor that to your group specifically. Then just trying to prep and clear your area for mowing. Many groups will do an initial cleanup. I know a lot of groups already have this past weekend. So if you plan to do that, do know that there are free dumpsters available through the City of Flint's Light Department. And that link right there is going to take you directly to their page. And then just getting that first mowing round completed. After that, it kind of gets into a regular flow of reporting maintenance every 3 weeks. And you're going to report both your group report, as well as using the Flint Property Portal app to report maintenance. You will not be required to submit any paper copies to us this year, and everything is going to be digital as far as reporting goes. On page 3, you're going to see the season schedule. This is going to give you all the dates that you need throughout the entire season and when each service round is due back. And each one of those service rounds is going to correlate with a color for when you're entering information into your map. So as time progresses, you're going to be able to see all of your mows on top of each other within the portal app. And it's actually a really neat feature. You can see how far maintenance has spread across your entire area. And then at the end of the season, we're going to have our final report due back. That's just going to ask you about your experience throughout 2021 and questions concerning, improvements. What can we change? What are you struggling with throughout the season, as well as some kind of data pieces there. There's some notes on direct deposit and that mowing color code chart as well. Page 4, we have our Clean and Green program overview. I'm not going to read this word for word, just in the essence of time, but it does outline purpose, goals, and some accomplishments from the last 16 years through the Clean and Green program. On page 5, we're going to get to preventing the spread of COVID-19. A lot of folks are going to know all these right off the bat, getting vaccinated, staying home when you're sick, that 6-foot distance rule and limiting interactions. And to try to move forward with the season safely, we've canceled all our large events, hence why we're here today doing the digital event. And then we will likely have to do the same for our end of season celebration. No reporting days are in the office. Everything is going to be digital, and all payments are going to be direct deposit. We're really going to focus on mowing and cleanup activities, so no signature greening or decorative boarding project. There's a little more detail on group procedures and practices regarding COVID and trying to keep everyone safe within your group. On the next page, there's more information on COVID prevention supplies and vaccinations. So we came up with a recommended supplies list. Of course, pick what fits the needs of your groups. This isn't, you have to get every single one, but there are a few options out there to try to keep groups safe, as well as different sanitizers. There's a couple links there to the CDC to find out a little more information, as well as a few links for the Genesee County Health Department regarding vaccination information. Their website's really good. They stay up to date. They, post where the different vaccination clinics are happening across the county. So if you've yet to get your vaccine, definitely check out that scheduler. On the next page, we have an employee and volunteer pre-work health checklist. So if you're ever, going to volunteer, anybody's volunteering within your group, you're, questioning things, go through this checklist. If you feel like you may have a fever or a cough, sore throat, maybe not the best time to be working, and try quarantining and then going back to volunteering on a regular basis. But we just want to make sure we prevent that spread. On page 8, we get a little bit more into our HHF hardest hit fund maintenance properties and those instructions. So there are some nuances with this because these properties are planted with clover. It's a low growth, low maintenance, pretty hardy ground cover that only grows to about 10 inches. And ideally, when healthy and established, those lots aren't going to require regular mowing, but maybe like once or twice a year. So in the case that you know, you maintained an HHF property 3 weeks ago, and then you come back, everything's looking great. There's no problems with it. You know, we have a verification process, but we just have to make sure that those properties are maintained every 3 weeks, mandated by the state of Michigan. We have a few tips and tricks for maintaining clover. So ideally, you want to wait until the growth is at least 4 inches tall before you go through and mow. And a good indicator of when it's time is those little white flowers that pop up. If you see those flowers, it's time to mow. If you don't see those flowers popping up yet, you know, I'd probably wait another week or so and wait for those flowers to come up, because those will drop seeds and, you know, even further establish that site and strengthen the clover, hence making a lower maintenance requirement. One tip that we've heard from our groups that is kind of a game changer as far as equipment damages go is setting that mower deck high at about 6 inches. Otherwise, it'll bog up the mowing deck. And we've had a few groups have equipment damages due to, you know, wet clover or just very dense clover. So that setting that mower deck higher is really a big help with the HHF properties. And then reporting maintenance on those, again, they may not always require a full mow. When you do have to mow, it is required that you mow the entire lot, front and back, and no half mows or mow strips are permitted on those lots. If you don't have to clean the lot, you don't have to mow the lot, it's perfect when you get there. Use that verified maintained option within the reporting tool on the Flint property portal, and then instead just mow a different property in your area. This can help to spread that maintenance further and help to mow additional properties throughout the season. And we're going to move on to page 9, and these are, you know, some of our different mow types that are available. We like to be really flexible with our groups. You know, ultimately, groups know their neighborhoods better than anybody else and can create those strategic plans with a variety of different mow types, maybe a staggering mows. You know, I've seen groups do it different every season, and it's different between each group. So there is no one way to do this. But we do have a few options that you can choose from. Full mow, pretty standard, front and back of the lot. You know, great for areas where it's high occupancy, it's highly visible, you know, children play in your parks, schools, etc. And that's 1 mow per lot is a full mow. We have half mows where the front half of the property is mowed and then the back half of the property remains uncut. In this case, you would mow 2 properties for half mows to equate to 1 full property. And again, half mows can't be used on HHF properties, but this can help to cover more area and where there's maybe more vacant lots or vacant houses, or maybe there's native wildflowers that are already growing on those lots. Then we get into the Mohs Strip, which is an option for, you know, highly vacant areas, but you still want to keep those sidewalks clean and clear as people are walking through the area, children are walking to and from school. But you can get a lot of coverage with these, and that'll be about 8 to 10 feet back from the sidewalk, and 10 mow strips are equal to 1 half or 1 full mow, excuse me. And you can cover, you know, 10 lots for the equivalent of 1 full mow. And we also have a decorative mow strip. So very, very similar to a regular mow strip, but if you want to do like some waves, some spirals, zigzags, some fun patterns in the area, you're more than welcome to do that. And that is an option. We've seen a few groups do that. Same equivalence as a mow strip is. So then we have our verified maintained. These only apply to HHF properties. These are all going to be marked in red on your map. And we just have to ensure that that property is maintained every 3 weeks. And, you know, if you mow it, that's a full mow. But if you don't have to, use this HHF verified to let us know that everything's good, and then mow a different property instead. There's about 100 properties in the program this year that are currently leased by neighbors. These are still HHF properties and require that we confirm that they are maintained, but there should be a neighbor nearby that is maintaining those properties on a regular basis. So if you get there, it's maintained, just verify, move on. And these are going to be a darker red on your map than the traditional HHF properties. If a leasee has not been maintaining, you know, try to take a before picture so we can document that the leasee is no longer maintaining that lot, and then go ahead and maintain it and mark it as a full mow in your reports. So this page, I'm not going to go through, you know, the math and the details here, but it's just kind of an example of, you know, this is a group that was awarded 25 properties, and, you know, the different ways that they mowed. So they use a combination of HHF verified properties, full mows, half mows, and Mohs strips, and how that breaks down. And this little table helps to figure out all those equivalencies. And again, HHF properties that are verified do not count towards your mowing total. Okay, so at this point, I am going to ask one of our newer cleaning green groups that did a tremendous job at maintaining nearly their entire area last season. I was very impressed. They were using a different, you know, staggers of mows, different mowing types. And I'm going to let Pastor Harvey share his experiences with using different mowing strategies in this area with his group, Vessels of God. So if Pastor Harvey is here, please go ahead and unmute your microphone, and I'm going to stop sharing my screen, okay?
Hello, can you hear me okay?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah, we had an exciting year, actually. Everyone worked so well together, and the idea that we were able to use the various combination helped out immensely, because it gave us plenty of opportunity to, do some extra mowing to make the neighborhood look really good. And the staggered, or the designed, what I found with that was when we were in an area where there was a garden, it was important to leave some of the plants, I call them pollinating gardens, or wildflowers and things up, because right now, believe it or not, we have a shortage on honeybees and the pollinators, and that helps to increase, their population. So that was one of the reasons I like to, do the designs and not really cut down everything, but make it look really nice. But other than that, I just want to thank everyone for allowing us to be part of the project.
Thank you, Pastor Harvey. Yeah, it's very, very impressive to see what your team has been, how much coverage you guys have been able to do. So at this time, we've been kind of listening for a while. If you want to shake a little bit, get a little exercise, get the blood flowing, feel free to do that as we kind of get through the reporting. I know we're, going through a lot of information right now, so I definitely get the need to kind of move around a little bit. So feel free if you need to, and if you are shy, go ahead and turn off your camera while you do that. I'm going to share my screen again and start talking about reporting digitally this season. So we have 2 different reporting documents that we need back. Those are going to be our group reports, and that's going to just kind of cover, how many volunteers you have, are they paid workers, volunteers, number of youth, and some positives and negatives that you've experienced throughout that mowing round. So it's going to be kind of an overarching form, very quick and easy to fill out. And that's just going to be a link that we provide a reminder on every 3 weeks when those reports are due. It is going to be the same link throughout the season, and it is within the document here. But we will send out reminders to make sure everybody gets those in on time. And really the only caveat here is make sure you're selecting the right mowing round, and refer to that season schedule earlier in the binder to make sure that you're on schedule. And if you do end up having to use the 2-week grace period, please account for that when you are reporting. But it's a very quick, easy form to fill out, and it can be done on a computer or just on a phone. So it's very smooth. Then when we get to reporting property maintenance and the specific parcels that were maintained, we're going to be using the Flint Property Portal app. I know a lot of our groups are very, very familiar with this, but some of our new groups, this might be a completely new application that is out there that really gives you a lot of information at your fingertips outside of just the purposes for clean and green. And so on the first page for the reporting, we have some of the tools identified, how to look up properties, where the locator is, how to select a parcel. You'll know it's selected when it's highlighted a blue outline. You can see your location in the map. It's very good at locating where you are in reference to the entire city and what parcel you're specifically working on. Where you would start a survey, and then how to look at a property profile. If you click up on that top arrow, you can see a picture of the property. You can see more property information, such as ownership or zoning, land use. And then at the bottom, you're going to have 4 icons that kind of navigate you through the app. We have the map viewer, which you can see all the different parcels across the city. You have your survey selector, so you can bounce between different surveys. For clean and green, you're going to want that clean and green survey. But there's also a property update survey and a maintenance message that's available as well. If you want to see all your posts that you have completed on properties, you click that 3rd icon and it'll track everything that you've submitted through the app. And this last one, the user account, do not worry about that you do not need to be logged in to be reporting clean and green maintenance. You're just gonna go right on the app and it'll be available right there. So you won't have to worry about a login. This next page kind of goes through just how you would submit a survey, the different icons that you would select, and then going and selecting properties and how to start a survey on those properties. The application is very intuitive, so those questions will kind of guide you as they pop up and just respond to those accordingly. For the clean and green survey specifically, there is a detailed outline on how to start that survey. First, you got to download the app. It's available to smartphones or tablets, both Apple and Android. It's not as very user-friendly to use the website version to survey properties. So definitely download the app for reporting purposes. You're going to want to click that clean and green survey when you go through and select. And remember to keep track of the number of mowings you complete and those types of mowings that you complete to make sure that you've hit your stipend total. Although the map tracks the different type of mowing types, it's not going to shade them any differently if it's a half mow versus a full mow. So you're going to want to like tally them on like a side piece of paper. Maybe if you have a paper map you're working with to keep track, you can keep track on there. So there's a few different options to go about that. But the survey is built to be both really quick, but then really robust at the same time. So there's really only 4 questions that are required, and that's just what mowing round is it? What type of mowing did you use? And what month was it when you mowed the grass? And then if there's any issues. If you don't have any issues, it skips right to the end of the survey, where you can submit a photo, which is optional, but we do encourage groups to submit a photo every other round. We don't expect a photo every single round, but it would be nice to see, you know, properties throughout the season, and that transformation as they go from, you know, a blighted, unmaintained vacant lot to a beautiful neighborhood asset. And if there are questions on or issues on a property, it will open up a second series of questions to report those issues. And those are all going to be detailed on the next page. It's just going to ask you what type of issues you're experiencing. We've got a large list of issues that groups have brought to our attention over the years. It's going to ask you if you removed any trash or debris from the property. If you need assistance and you are unable to remove it, we'll report that out to our Lam Bank crews. But do know that not all issues can be addressed within the season, but we will do our best to try to help. I'm just gonna ask you when you clean it, and then if it's a dumping hotspot. So if this is an area that you're getting repeated dumping every 3 weeks, and you just keep cleaning it up, and you can't seem to get control of the dumping at that location, please report that as a hotspot in the app, so then we know that that's an issue area. If it's not an issue, just go ahead and keep moving on through the survey. And then there's some opportunities to list issues in more detail with your own words and adding that photo. So that's going to be that camera icon. It's going to show up in the top right-hand corner of the app. And you know, while you're doing a survey, you can click that icon at any time to take a picture. All right. So I'm going to cover going through your reference map. I'm not going to go over this on detail. It's all in the legend on the map, and there's more substance there, but in the essence of time, I'm going to kind of just briefly go over it. It's just going to have your different property conditions, if it's owned by the Lam Bank, if it's an HHF property, if it's a school, if it's a park, etc. So viewing your area within the Flint Property Portal app, all of the clean and green boundaries are pre-downloaded to that app. You're going to see your group name as well as the neighboring groups in your area too. So when you go to view your area, you're going to zoom in to your area of focus, your service area, and you can see the different color coding there for the different rounds, and those will overlay. And our returning groups, I had a lot of groups say they really liked how they could see their entire service period for the entire season. After that, we have group directory. So if you do want to contact any of your neighboring groups, maybe you want to plan a cleanup, you want to, you know, recruit some volunteers for that cleanup, and, you know, you're both working right next door to each other, we have that contact information for you. So we've got lots of groups. So there's 4 pages of contact information. The one thing about this is this contact information is provided only for the intention of helping to connect clean and green groups for clean and green purposes. So please don't add anyone to, you know, a mailing list or anything of that nature, and try to keep this contact information for only clean and green purposes. There are some community resources. This is kind of a condensed resource sheet. So some of these are going to be postponed, altered, canceled, but there's all the contact information, the different resources that are available, and then web links in there. There are 2 more resources that we just got the flyers for this week. The tire disposal that happens yearly is going to be coming up in May, I believe May 8th. And then the neighborhood inventory application. I know a lot of our clean and green groups participate in that. That just came up available as well. And I believe that's due on May 7th. So we will just be distributing those via email. And there's a few other resources in there as well. But I'm gonna stop sharing my screen. Oh, hold on, actually. Yes, I'm gonna stop sharing my screen for a moment. And with talking about reporting and the different ways to do that using the Flint property portal, I wanted to ask Amber Mcdonald from the Court Street Village Association to come up and, you know, kind of speak about her experiences with the app. They are a very seasoned veteran group. So we would like to hear those experiences. So Amber, if you are here, please unmute and feel free to take over.
Hello. We've been doing this for quite a while, like Melissa has said. Do not be afraid of reporting through this portal. This portal has been a lifesaver, you know, for any information that you need regarding not just Lam Bank properties, but other properties in the city. It's been beneficial if you run into a resident and they ask about a certain property, like for instance, if it's a demolition property, you can click right on that and tell them if it is listed for demolition, when it can be expected to be torn down. We really enjoy it. It's taking the pictures, making sure that that information is updated is a great resource, not just for the Lam Bank, for other residents in the neighborhoods as well. I use it. My father, he helps, you know, take care of stuff. He's 65, very not tech savvy whatsoever, and he can walk his way through it as well. It's very simple. Follow the steps, take your pictures, and get your reporting done.
All right. Thank you, Amber.
Yes.
All right. Yeah, it's definitely a very great tool for a variety of reasons beyond clean and green. I just have one short bit to talk about, and then I am going to pass the mic on. But I do want to mention that we have a dumping project that we are working with Michigan Youth Violence Prevention Center to help to be proactive in intervening with some of the illegal dumping issues that we have across the city. You know, year to year, this is the biggest issue that faces groups. We have over 80% of groups that are having repeated dumping in their areas. I mean, on a regular basis, they'll clean it up and then it's right back there and then needs to be cleaned up again. So we are partnering with the Michigan Youth Violence Prevention Center to kind of study some of those dumping trends that we're seeing based on the data that groups have provided, which thank you so much if you provided information on dumping in the past. And then they're going to study those different community-driven interventions that are selected based on group preferences. You know, the groups are really going to be selecting the sites and what type of intervention they're going to use. So there's going to be trail cameras, solar lights, different barriers. This was a program that a lot of groups were interested in participating in, with over 80% of groups applying to receive funds and be part of this program. This is a pilot project, so we have 5 groups that we will select to move forward with selecting lots and installing interventions. As funding comes available, if there is still some, we may ask additional groups to participate later on in the season. So, you know, little success that we're working on and really hope to see some positive interventions that will, you know, intervene with dumping throughout the entire season in different areas across the city. So with that, I'm going to stop sharing my screen. I'm going to pass it back on to the amazing Miss Renetta Speed, and she's going to take on the remainder of the program.
Thank you, Melissa, and special thanks to Pastor Harvey and Amber for sharing their experiences as a clean and green participant. participant. We really appreciate them speaking on those on mowing and the property portal. We're almost done. I just want to talk a little bit about social media. Last year, we took advantage of our Facebook account by highlighting your amazing work. The only way we can do that is that if you take pictures of your work and share those pictures with me, and then we can post them on our Facebook page. We also have an Instagram account that we would also like to share your work on. So again, if you would take pictures of your work and share those pictures with me, we can do that. You don't have to take a picture of everything, just every round, send me 3 or 4 pictures. So we'll have a bank of pictures to show every week on our Facebook and Instagram account. Which we're almost done. I just want to say thank you for being here, being such a gracious and accommodating audience. We look forward to working with you this season. I do have to remind you, though, to be extremely careful. Remember the 3 W's: wash your hands, wear your mask, watch your distance. And our community has other things going on besides a global pandemic. So please, please be extremely careful. If you have any questions, please give me a call, send an email or a text, and we will get right back with you. Again, thank you for caring enough to share your Wednesday afternoon with us. Have a great day, a great week, and we'll see you soon.
Thanks, Renetta. Thanks, you guys.